we look forward to seeing you guys down at Equip Expo 2023, October 17th through the 20th. Guys, don't forget to use promo code Brian to register and save your guys' self 50% all summer long. Get those tickets ASAP. And by the way, we do earn a little bit of a kickback, and that goes right into supporting the show, supporting the podcast, and the YouTube channel. So thank you guys so much in advance if you happen to use our code. And don't forget to register you and each individual that you got to bring for your team. You got to register each person separately.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no-nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Never a dull moment, obviously, just trying to get everything done, man. How about you?
Yeah, weather's been good here. Got all the guys out this morning. Got to go see one of the crews and just kind of back at the office doing some things.
Cool.
So you take Thursday mornings to do podcasts and different social media stuff. I saw like that was mainly the times you were offering and even a couple today.
Yeah, it's just a great way to condense it all versus hopscotching all over the place and missing calls or, it's just a good thing for everybody to just pick a day. For me, I just found Thursday seems to be tapering kind of part of the week for us as we wrap up on Thursday. So trying to do anything on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, everything can hit the fan on Monday, and then, usually we're off to the races by Tuesday, Wednesday, getting things going. So, just kind of works out. But no, thanks for taking time as well, man. I know you guys are busy as well, and appreciate you getting on the show, man. Do you follow more along on the podcast or YouTube, or what do you watch?
I follow you most on Instagram. I followed you for probably like the past 8 years or so on Instagram. So that's where I see most of your content.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. And so, like, Rob's out there right now, I guess, cutting with some guys.
They're doing the deal, man. I'm going to go check in on them around 3:30. I have to go swing by there, run into town, do a couple errands. Again, never a dull moment, but, they're pretty self-sustainable, self-sufficient, thankfully. And we might end up working a quarter day, third day tomorrow, unfortunately, just because we've been getting some rain over here, thankfully, but simultaneously, as we get rain delays and rain outs, you got to make up that time during the week. So they'll probably work a half day Friday, to be honest, and which is okay. They kind of had, a quarter day on Monday, and then we got totally flooded out. You guys been getting the same rain, I guess, that we probably get, or how's that going?
Yeah, we get it a little bit right after you. We don't mow, so
okay.
We don't battle it as much, but we do, a lot of projects and stuff that just kind of, it does get damp. Just with hardscapes, we run like 3 crews, one that'll do like mulch, one that does landscape, one that does hardscape, and so they definitely, everybody battles it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, a little bit of rain makes it feel nicer, not as hot or sticky. Hopefully, a little rain moving through the fronts, kind of getting down to those 70 degrees are a lot better than working in 88s laying pavers and bricks, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like it is right now. Today it's going to be 85, something like that.
Yep. Are you guys getting that smoke as well over there?
Yeah, it's very hazy right now. I'm looking out my office window. We look out over one of the rivers, and you can see the haze pretty good. It's definitely, the air quality alerts have been coming in.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was curious if it made it all the way to PA as well. I thought we were done with that stuff like a week ago. But again, I don't know if it's more fires or another round of them. I don't know, like wild stuff.
I think it has to do with the weather patterns. Like sometimes it brings it down, sometimes it doesn't. I didn't totally get it, but there's like different points in which it does make its way down here, I guess. So the fires have been ongoing. They say they're just going to keep going. They don't try to put them out, apparently.
Well, when it's thousands and thousands of acres, I don't even know. Millions of acres. Yeah. I don't even know. It's like, good luck, They're like, no, it's nature, man. You got to let nature do its thing. I'm like, okay, what do I know? But my wife's brother, my brother-in-law or whatever you would call it, he's a federal national firefighting guy, actually. So it's kind of crazy. He would, like, if that was in the U.S., he would be dispatched, to go work on that. And but he, that's a Canadian thing, best I understand. But so he checks in once a month and he gives us the updates. And man, forestry firefighting, I don't know if you ever seen any of those videos on Instagram. It's intense, bro. It's intense.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the ones with the dozers when they start doing the fire lines.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All the above, man. He tells me like wild stories. And what I didn't know, we'll get into it, but what I didn't know is how fast those fires move. And they can move like 50, 60 miles an hour. And like just scorch, like incinerate the whole way through. And so if you guys are ever around a campfire, wood fire, like, hey, be smart, you know. So there's our first PSA of the podcast, right? So
yeah, for sure.
That's awesome, man. Well, we'll jump into it, man, because I hit record earlier just so I don't miss any of the good stuff. But why don't you, if you want to share for a few minutes, let's get you out there, man, and tell a little bit of your story. I was going through your guys' Instagram page, and you were already giving away some of the farm, saying about what you guys are doing and focusing on. It seems like you got some great stuff going on, man. So what's if you want to do the little proper introduction, I call it the highlight reel. What's your story, man? What do you guys got going on over there?
Yeah, like I said, Quentin from Q&A Landscaping. I have a business partner, Anthony. He's the A of Q&A Landscaping. We started this 13 years ago when we were in high school, just doing normal lawn care stuff, mowing some lawns in our neighborhood and different areas around. Once we could drive, we could go, a few more places, kind of like a lot of lawn care businesses start up. And over the years, we just kind of kept growing. A big thing for us in the start was passing out flyers. We got a lot of our lawns and whatnot through flyers that was really able to help us kind of pick up good lawns in high school. And then each year as we were in college, pick up a few more as we needed. Over the past 7 or 8 years since we graduated from college, we built a lot more into the construction aspect of this, landscape installs, hardscapes, excavation and drains. We sold all of our lawns probably about 4 years ago now. We just do projects.
Cool.
Each day we have a landscape crew out there, a bigger project crew that mainly does hardscapes, but also some bigger landscape projects, and then a mulch crew. And the mulch crew, they have a mulch blower. We have a thin bark blower, one of the 5-yard trailer ones that they tow behind.
Okay.
They're pretty much just mulching houses that the landscape crew gets ready.
Dude,
we
that's
also
awesome.
do some homeowner prep jobs where the homeowners will get the houses all ready for mulch, and they just hire us to do the mulch, like mulch-only jobs, essentially.
Okay.
That keeps the blower busy. That's that third crew that kind of goes out there and does that each day. There's really just 2 guys needed on the mulch blower. That's what's nice about the blower. We're able to get a lot done with a lot less effort. That was a big addition for us when we bought that probably about 5 years ago now.
What mulch blower? Is it the mulch mule, or what do you guys got?
We have the Finn bark blower. It's like the 5 series.
Okay.
Some people call it the BB5. A lot of people have that 3-yard tow behind one.
Mm-hmm.
This one's just a little bit bigger than that. It can blow topsoil and mushroom manure too. We do a lot of lawn installs like that. Like today, they're actually out there covering the seed with mushroom manure with the blower. It just puts a nice fine layer on it. It's a good way to kind of cover the lawn after you do the install.
Okay, there you go. That's awesome, man. And so how many guys in total? Like 4 or 5, I would imagine, or 6?
We have 14 guys.
Oh, wow, dang.
I have my landscape crew is normally 5 or 6 guys each day. And then I have 5 or 6 more on the hardscape crew. And there's always 2 on the mulch blower. We also have 2 part-time mechanics that do a little bit of help with all of our stuff. We have 6 dump trucks and 1 Ram 3500. So to keep everything in good shape and all the machines and everything and, kind of stay on top of everything, we have over the past few years started to involve some part-time mechanics. They're able to help in the evenings and weekends.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Well, great for you guys. And how old are you, man? You sound younger. How old are you?
I'm 29. Me and Anthony are both 29. We'll be 30 this fall.
Dude, that's awesome.
Soon enough, we will have spent half our lives doing this. I look forward to the year that we're 32. We will have been in business for 16 years. That will be half of our lives.
That's awesome.
That will be a good advertisement, imagine, for that year.
Dude, that's so cool, man. Well, great job with all that. I saw, by the way, one of your Instagram photos. You guys did a paintball outing with the whole crew and the team, and that's got to be a lot of fun for a team building exercise.
Yeah, we've done that a couple of years. We got together with some other landscapers too. Some of the best ones we've had at that paintball place. We had other landscapers come and we would play our team versus theirs. Or we had one year, I think there was probably 4 or 5 companies, so we had some good team building with that. We've recently transitioned to more of a Top Golf team building exercises, some less physical than the paintball. There was an injury. One of our guys tore his ACL playing paintball, and we realized maybe we're getting a little too old to running through the woods like this.
Too much
everybody was so
too much liability.
It was a little bit much, and even me, I was like, man, I don't know. This might not be good to do the day before we want everybody to come back to work.
Bro, that's funny. My guys want to go skydiving and take a day and I'm like, it sounds good in theory, except when you have a wife and kids. And I said, like, the wealthier you get, man, the more you start accumulating things, the less you want to turn into a wet spot on the ball of mud, So I'm like, when you're 20, you have no bills, no responsibility. Sure, you jump out of a 30,000 foot high airplane, when you have two kids, you're like, probably better ways to spend my afternoon. So I'm right there with you, man. That's awesome. But well, good for you guys. Yeah, Top Golf is I see a lot of guys do that. Christian with CNI and a bunch of guys will do the Top Golf thing. And did you guys do that once a year, a couple times a year? How do you guys try to incorporate that?
At least once a year. Some years we make it in twice. There's different things that go on, or just little small amounts. Trying to find little ways to, like buy lunch for the crew or do something nice. I also think that sometimes it's hard. It's a balance because, you want to produce work during the hours that everybody wants to work, but a lot of guys wouldn't want to do things outside of work. Like if we went to the Pirate game on a Friday night after work, or that's the baseball team. So they would maybe there would be less inclined for people to want to come. It's harder to get people, I find, to do things sometimes outside of work. Like some of these people would rather go home.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's kind of a fine line between you want to do all these things at the same time. I sometimes have been disappointed with the attendance in things that are happening maybe outside of the regular work hours. And I find that a lot of people really appreciate having like a good work hour schedule opposed to that.
Yeah.
That's one thing we do that's different. That was a big part for us when we got out of cutting grass, was moving away from working on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the first changes that we were able to do, just because with cutting grass, it's always important to make sure to get all of the lawns cut every week. And there would always be something that needed to be done on Saturday just due to the weather or one reason or another.
Right.
And as soon as we got done cutting grass, it kind of removed the need for that. And we went to a Monday to Friday schedule. And, if it needs done still, it'll be there again on Monday. There's no need to kind of be in somebody's yard on a Saturday doing their patio or their plants. We schedule everything with enough time that nothing is urgent anymore.
Yeah, that's true. And an extra day or two on a landscape job, people are pretty understanding. They're like, hey, whatever. You give them a range, I would imagine 2-3 weeks or whatever your job scope is. And hey, if it's an extra day, it's an extra day. They're not planning to get out there, other than maybe working around a timeline or a deadline for like a grad party or something like that. But otherwise, they're like, hey, an extra day or two, no big deal. But if, man, you miss 1 week of cuts, the next day or 2 days later, where you guys at? Right? That whole deal. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we cut lawns for, I'd say maybe right about 9 years, I guess. Thousands of lawns over. We had always over 100 lawns a week that you're responsible for. And to try to cut 100 lace lawns a week, and people want their grass cut towards the end of the week or right before the weekend, that was always our biggest battle. And then the one thing that I felt like was a little different about Pittsburgh versus what I saw in other markets is Pittsburgh is so hilly that the terrain here makes it very difficult. Everybody has such slopey, curved yards with fences and different chopped up elements. There's not a lot of, zero turn friendly yards. When I see the videos of you guys out there mowing, sitting on a zero turn and there's relatively flat, open yards, that's a totally different ball game than in Pittsburgh, where you're gonna those yards are hard to come by.
Dude, for sure. Actually, my mom's and my dad's I grew up. They had a couple friend that they always kept in touch with. They actually lived in Pittsburgh, and dude, it's like it can be like San Francisco. The streets, up and downs, like crazy terrain and topography. They had a subdivision. This couple friend, it was like we called them aunt and uncle, but they weren't, aunt and uncle, if you will. But when you're a kid going, till 16, 17 years old on family trips over there, we'd always go there once a summer. I remember that whole area. We actually went and open skate, at the Pittsburgh Penguins, right? Training facility back in the day, all that kind of fun stuff. It was a lot of fun when you were a kid, but you guys have a lot of hills. I can totally remember all those times back in the day. I'm like, man, who would have thought, right? Over here in Pittsburgh, but that's awesome.
Yeah. And while it wasn't great for mowing lawns, it was good for retaining walls. We built a lot of retaining walls. So many people have a wall or two or three in their yard. And as we got further and further into this, we started building a lot of retaining walls. And now it's definitely one of the best things that we do, that we're set up for. We have the equipment for, we can come in and out and do a retaining wall at a pretty high level quicker than most people.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, that's actually that's actually a really interesting idea and topic I want to maybe press into a little bit more. We're going to take a quick break and hear from today's show sponsors. But when we come on back, I'll cue it for you and kind of tease it. I'd love to hear how you guys transition from mowing hundreds of lawns, thousands of cuts a year, obviously, to seeing how you guys got to doing all the landscaping and really focusing on that and making that the mainstay of the company. So you got a few more minutes you want to share about how you guys transitioned into that?
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to share.
Cool. All right, let's do this really quick, guys. We're going to take a good old sip of water, hear from today's show sponsors and announcements, and we're going to come right on back.
Since 1982, Exmark has been dedicated to building the world's finest mowers. These machines provide you with a quality of cut that seems impossible, dependability you can measure in lifetimes, and an operator experience like none other. Because Exmark believes if something's worth doing, it's worth doing right. Visit your local dealer to discover a one-of-a-kind ownership experience and see the difference for yourself.
All right, Quentin. Well, we are going to head right back to you, my friend. I want to make sure we get as much of your story out there in the time that we got. We got about another 10 or so minutes to rock and roll. I know you've got a lot of office stuff to do today. It never ends over here, brother. We're building the house, got the barn I'm working through, and things are good. Things are good, but busy. So I try to be respectful of everybody's schedule, mine and your guys' as well. So let's talk about landscaping, man. That's something that we've been hitting a little bit more on the podcast lately. We have had Caleb Allman on just about a week ago, and man, he dropped so many nuggets. We had to break it into a 2-part episode. It was really, really good. Let me ask you this: How did you guys transition to landscaping? What is the story there? I mean, you guys obviously young guns, and I would imagine teenagers, 16, 17, like you said, mowing grass and making that cash. I think my friend Paul says. But what was the allure or the incentive or the interest on getting into landscaping? How did that whole transition work?
Yeah, for us, it started with the lawns, and we saw that a lot of our clients needed the other landscaping services like trimming shrubs, edging beds, mulching.
Sure.
I'd say that was the pretty much standard way to get into it in the start. That's where, our first non-lawn mowing revenue came from, little bits like that. And kind of as we started doing that, then, it turns into maybe you do some seasonal cleanups. We'd start doing little planting here or there. In the beginning, it was plants that maybe the customer had and they just wanted us to put in, or little bits like that. I think our first hardscape job was probably 2 years into it, and a customer had a tiny paver patio they wanted to put behind their shed so they could put their grill on. And it was probably, 6 feet by 8 feet wide, and it needed 50 pavers from the Home Depot that were just those standard 1x1 square pavers.
Sure.
And that was really the first one that it started with. It was simple. It took us forever to build it. And you learn from there. And so often that's probably the number one question I get from people on Instagram that are maybe in lawn care and looking to get into landscaping is like, where did you start? How did you learn? Where does that first job come from? And the first job is not glorious. Maybe it's rebuilding a fallen retaining wall. That was our second hardscape job. It was a small wall. It had fallen over. We cut the lady's grass. She asked us, could you rebuild it? And 10 years later, we built probably over 100 walls at this point that all started with that one lady's wall that, it was just a simple lawn care client that we had that needed it.
Was it? Let me interrupt you real quick, if you don't mind. Was it like an epiphany? Was it like you were getting burned out of mowing? What were you like? Hey, we could run parallel paths with a mow crew, landscape crew, because now you guys are 100% construction with 15 guys. So how did that work, or what was your thoughts there? Yeah,
well, for us, the day that we switched it all together, it was just realizing that the guys that we had that were mowing weren't producing the same revenue that the guys we had that were landscaping.
Okay.
If we can only have 15 guys that work at this company, to take 3 of them in one dump truck and have them go and mow lawns each day whenever they could have, be on another crew, it just didn't start to make sense anymore. And we kind of started to just really see that as it was harder for us to retain the talent that was cutting grass. Some of the people that we were finding were more so interested in landscaping or wanted to get into the landscaping that we were doing. And just the money that it was producing wasn't there as opposed to the landscaping.
Cool. Okay. That's a fair answer, man. It's, at the end of the day, you're in business to make money. At least my business is. I don't know about you guys, but I would imagine.
Yeah.
So
that being said, we needed to cut grass all the way up until when we did. And I would never have said, I wish we never cut grass, because you needed that to get your name out there, to get all of the projects, to grow your business and retain employees to get to that point. And I think depending on how business' staffing is going, it really depends on whether you can keep cutting grass. If I had enough employees that were really interested in cutting the grass, we might have continued it. But at that time, it just really wasn't seeming like that was the direction it was going.
That's fair. What kind of advice would you give to your younger self at all on the way? Of course, different checkpoints, different levels, but what's something that you would go back and tell yourself, maybe when you guys were transitioning from mowing to landscaping, or even getting started in the industry and the business? What's some maybe some hard lessons learned, or some business advice, anything that you would quote unquote do all over again and tell your younger self?
Yeah, I think I would tell my younger self at this point that if we were to do it again, when we wanted to get into snow removal, I would have started to accumulate our own clients from the start. I think that's something a lot of lawn care people face, where maybe they think about getting into snow removal and then they look at how do they get into snow removal. We skipped residential snow removal. We were in college. We didn't really have the time to do snow removal at the early phases of our company. And so when we did get into it, we went right into commercial snow removal, as opposed to trying to one by one get individual lots. We did go and work for a few different people to get some lots from them. Looking back on that, that's 6 years ago at this point, as now we have all of our own lots, I would say that was a mistake. It ultimately, now that you know what you're doing and looking at it, it's easy to say that you're leaving money on the table and that you should have started to build your client list then. We started to build our own client list a couple of years ago, and I just wish I was a couple years further than we are. But that's easy to say whenever you're able to look back on it now. But if I could give advice to somebody that was, starting out in the snow removal, would be to don't be afraid to slowly build your own client list. If you want to take some clients from some other people as a subcontractor, do so, but do so cautiously, and know that you always want to get away from that.
Dude, that's awesome. That's great, man. Well, peak to peak, that's why I like to ask that question, is like, hey, what would you do different? But, at the end of the day, sometimes I think what we all go through is, what we have to go through to get us to where we're at today, So it's kind of, we always want to shortcut the shortcut, but sometimes our story is our story, and we have to learn those lessons and grow incrementally for a reason. Amen. So it's that's awesome, man. Well, I got you another quick minute or two. Like I said, and then I gotta get running, unfortunately, myself. I'm really enjoying our conversation. What would you have for some advice for some other guys that are getting in the industry right now that want to do landscaping? They see, they stumble across your Instagram, maybe your website, 10, 15 guys, 5, 6, 7 trucks going down the road, all the equipment, right? This is like you said, almost a 10, 12 year grind so far. You're 29, you started at 16. This isn't an overnight thing. So what's your encouragement to some of them that want to get started, or maybe they got 30 mow clients and they want to, transition back into landscaping and go all in? Any helpful tips or advice you could provide them?
Yeah, I think it's really easy to say, like, we've all been there. Every business that is a big landscape business at one point was a small one. You can look back on it and see that point in your journey. What I think is most important is to just realize that all of those small things that you're doing now, that you're doing next year, that you're doing for the next 5 years, that accumulation really adds up. The getting Google reviews, getting good Facebook pictures, building a website, getting a good SEO score, doing all of the online things, the small things that maybe don't reap immediate benefits week by week. If you do them year after year, you will see them add up. We have over 100 5-star Google reviews, but I remember the first year we started doing Google reviews, it seemed silly, like Google review 4 and 5, and what is the difference? But if you go out there and you get a few every year, and you pass out some flyers every year, and you continue to just do these small things year over year consistently, it does really add up.
So you're saying there's no secrets to success? It's
There is not a secret. It's to be hungrier than the next person, to wake up and work harder, and to know that you have to do it every day. I'd tell people, if you're getting into this business and you're in the early phases of it, it's really important to not consume too much of your profits. I see so many people that are probably in the beginning phases of making some money, and they are buying themselves personal flashy items. If that's what you want to spend your money on, or some personal experiences, then that's great. But it's also really important to be willing to put some money back into your business. If you're consuming all of the profits and you're not putting them into dump trucks and assets and land and things like that, they're going to help your business grow. Your business isn't going to grow as fast. And after years and years of your competitors putting their money into those things and you not, it's definitely going to stand out. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, beautiful advice, awesome advice, lots of wisdom there. I mean, and even more, let that play out. Like you said, just compounding interest. People, 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 8, 8 to 16. You're like, man, this is taking forever, but it gets pretty beautiful if you double that out, and for around 15, 16, 17, it's like $1 million, $2 million, $4 million, $8 million, right? That whole deal. And it just starts turning into ridiculous amounts. Liz and I are still reinvesting so much into our companies. It's insane. I'm like, when do we want to extract and pull some stuff out and buy a watch, buy a car? I mean, I've done a little bit of little stuff like that behind the scenes, just some personal goals and some wins along the way. But I think it'd still be shocking to let people know what we practically live on income-wise versus like what you make percentage-wise. And I see so many people making those same rookie mistakes. Like, hey, I got to make 80 grand a year out of this business. And I'm like, why? I'm like, can't you live on 35 grand a year? Practically speaking, if so, great. If not, evaluate some different things. Like, you want to have the big trucks and the big company, but you also want to pull 200 grand a year out of the company in profit. I'm like, look, I'm just gonna be real. You got to pick one or the other for probably a decade. So it's just how it goes, man. But great advice, man. I think there's a lot of wisdom with what you're saying there. And I can tell that you guys have a good head on your shoulders, a good focus on what you're trying to do, and a good vision, for the company. Last thing I'll say, where do you guys go from here? Where do you guys want to go from here? It's cool seeing the first 10, 12 years. I'm going through your Instagram while you're sharing some different, nuggets. And I'm like, man, this is a great setup. Are you guys content? Are you guys happy with where you're at? Are you taking this thing to, 50 million? Where's the future?
We're definitely reaching a point where the sky is not the limit. I would say we're not interested in growing this to a 20 to 30 person company. It's really about just remaining around this size, 3 to 4 crews maybe that put out quality work, well outfitted crews that we're doing good projects. We're not interested in being the best. I'd say we're kind of reaching the point where we really are just firming up our existing operation and kind of growing within the infrastructure we've already built.
That's awesome.
That's not to say we're not trying to grow year over year. We have grown year over year, but it's just more so knowing that, we're not going to be a 5 to 6 crew company or anything like that.
Cool. No, then that's, I think I was listening to Jeremiah Jennings' podcast just the other day, and, not to give him shout outs because every time I do it, he owes me money, but I'm just kidding. But he's a great guy. But he said, like, content but not satisfied, I think was his line. And, there's some merit to that. Like, be happy, be content, Of course, you still want to grow. Like you said, you guys can work on top line and bottom line numbers and shore up systems or keep replacing equipment for newer stuff and, make the guys' jobs easier. That's always an admirable ambition. But yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I'm not trying to necessarily compete with the bright views of the world or the perfect cuts or the Troy clogs. I'm happy being in the shadows and just running our meek little operation. No, I'm just kidding, but it's awesome. But I'm right there with you, man. You just got to know what you want and why you want, and I think that'll save a lot of people a lot of confusion out there. But that's what I got for right now, man. I do have to unfortunately kind of land the plane right here, but. Any parting thoughts you want to give these guys? But if not, where can they find you to keep in touch? You guys got a lot of great stuff going on. I want to make sure we plug that really quick.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at QA Landscaping. We also got a Facebook, QA Landscaping 412, but we're pretty active on Instagram. If you message me on there, I always try to get back to you. And I really like to engage with people that are interested in this.
Heck yeah, man. Awesome, brother. Well, super appreciate you taking time to be on the show today. I know we were talking just a couple of days, and it's a quick turnaround here, so thanks for the speediness. That's always cool and appreciated. But thanks again for the update. Maybe we'll regroup later this fall and winter. We'll start talking some snow. You guys got some great snow equipment there, and I don't know, Pittsburgh's not that far down the road from Michigan, if you know what I'm saying. So maybe we'll figure out something in the winter and do a little drive-by and say hey in person, But keep it going, man, and proud of you guys. And thanks for taking time to be on the show today.
For sure, man. Thanks so much. Have a good holiday weekend. Enjoy the 4th.
You bet, man. All right, guys. Well, hey, that's what we got for you on this episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Guys, we look forward to catching up with you here on the next one.
Since 1982, Exmark has been dedicated to building the world's finest mowers. These machines provide you with a quality of cut that seems impossible, dependability you can measure in lifetimes, and an operator experience like none other. Because Exmark believes if something's worth doing, it's worth doing right. Visit your local dealer to discover a one-of-a-kind ownership experience and see the difference for yourself.
Hi, I'm Mr. Producer, and one more thing. If you're looking to stay up to date with the latest trends and insights in the world of lawn care, then you need our free email newsletter. It's delivered 3 times a week and includes a Monday motivational to kick off your week, a Wednesday what's new to keep you informed, and a Friday weekly recap of all the content we put out. Join our mailing list to stay connected to the world of lawn care and get exclusive access to the latest and greatest from Fullerton Unfiltered and Brian's Lawn Maintenance. Don't miss out on this opportunity to stay ahead of the curve and elevate your lawn care game. Sign up now with the link we've provided in the show description.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.